You are now listening to ForAllNerds Show, a podcast about geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. ForAllNerds is hosted by DJ Benhameen and Tatiana Keene-Jones. ForAllNerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
ForAllNerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/ForAllNerds.
Welcome to the Fan Bros, the show where the bros are fans. Doodle.
And what's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of the ForAllNerds Show, the voice of the urban geek, the podcast that discusses geek culture from the perspective of people of color. And sitting in the captain's chair, as always, it's your boy, DJ Benhameen, a.k.a. Big Dick Grayson Energy, Dr. Hugo Stranger Things, Everybody Hates Martha, Edward Nigma, please, here on this very special episode. And we have a very special guest joining us tonight. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah. I only have one moniker. My name is Fantastic Frankey, aka the Fanboy Fighter. So excited to be here, especially on Batman Day.
Yes, that's right. As Frankey, our very special guest, just said, we are reviewing The Batman tonight. This is a full spoiler-filled review. All right, so if you ain't seen it or you care about spoilers, honestly, to me, there ain't really that much to spoiler that you have not seen. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen it. There ain't many big reveals, but in case you're worried about those things, we will be talking about everything tonight. So, just to let y'all know. Woo, that's right, folks. The Batman, which is directed by Mr. Matt Reeves of Planet of the Apes fame, and also he did the joint with the big alien monster, the joint in the city, Cloverfield. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Cloverfield, I think. Yes, he did that, and the last two Planet of the Apes. The music is by The Score, which I really loved. Is by Michael Giacchino. We'll talk more about that. Starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, Jeffrey Wright, Colin Farrell, Andy Serkis. We're going to get deep into everything. But first, Frankey is our guest tonight. What were your overall thoughts on this movie?
Yo, I loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not gonna front. I came in like a little skeptical, like I wasn't quite sure, especially about Robert. I saw he was talking about not working out. It wasn't even the Twilight thing. He just didn't seem like he was ready for the role. But I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, the movie it's not about Batman, honestly. But I overall, I really enjoyed it. And it's one of the best comic book adaptations I think I've seen in the Batman universe.
Wow. All right. I went in doing my best to have open expectations. I wasn't really feeling the idea of another Batman movie, but I knew that, everyone, my mutuals and stuff was like, they were feeling it. I liked the last two Planet of the Apes. I like Robert Pattinson as an actor, actually. The joint, The Lighthouse, he's great in. I was just watching this other joint the other night. No, not Fresh. That was another one I was watching, but I can't remember. But he's good in that. He's a great actor. Zoe, I know, is good. Everybody else is great. I thought it was aight.
No, it's just aight?
Yeah.
I feel you. That's good
funky.
though.
Yeah, I thought it was aight at best. Like, honestly, like, I thought it was like, it was about 20 minutes in where I was like, okay, this is completely unnecessary. And I maintained that feeling throughout the whole movie. I thought that it was nice that they went into the detective aspects of Bruce Wayne, Batman. But beyond that, I didn't really feel like it was showing me anything that I hadn't seen before in one way or another in every live action iteration of Batman since Batman 89. And most importantly, I did not feel like it did much different from the Nolan films, and that was my biggest issue. Where I was just like, "Wow, I've seen this before, and very recently."
And very recent. I think the first 10 minutes really hooked me, and I think it's a lore that I think a lot of comic book readers aren't quite aware of, which is that Batman is a myth for a good part of his career.
Mhm.
And I love that aspect in the beginning where like it's scary and they're doing that exposition instead of us watching his parents die for the umpteenth time. They're explaining like what he's like. They're explaining that he's a myth. He can't be everywhere at once. But the whole thought of there's some 6'2" man out here washing up kids, may get people to act right. And yeah, I do think it's very similar to The Dark Knight, or Batman Begins. I think the themes are similar. But like Batman is Batman. There's but so much you could do. You know what I mean? It's either camp or it's this. It's two Batmans.
I disagree. No, I think there's several Batmans, and I think that's been the biggest problem is that that most people assume that it's either the early 1960s TV show, or the Robert Shoemaker films, or this dark, realistic take on Batman. Because this joint was wild fantasy, folks. Oh, that's another thing I want to get into.
Yo, absolutely.
Super fantasy. I thought that even that had been done in the Nolan films. The idea of him as this myth, the idea that he actually encourages people to fight crime, etc., had been shown in the Nolan films to me. Even and the idea of the scary Batman goes back to, Batman 89 with Keaton when he comes out of the darkness and is I'm Batman. I did love that shot of him walking out of the darkness up on the gang members. That shit was ill because it was like how he just like molded out of the shadows. But
even before then, right? There are like several scenes before he actually emerges.
Yes.
Where things fall and everybody's like, oh, that, and like their friends are like, yeah, it's the Batman. I thought that was really cool. I thought, and it was scary. I was scared in the beginning.
Oh my God.
Like, I was a little nervous. I was like, oh, like, is he gonna jump out? I think if it was rated R though, I think those beats would have been a lot heavier.
I feel you in one way, but I don't know if you need rated R, like
at all. Yo, people are getting clapped, no blood.
Yeah, I mean, but why do you need blood to make it, effective? That people are like, he's punching people in the face more times than he needs to already. I did not need to see Batman get any more violent than he already got in this film. Mad people already died.
They were acknowledging that, like, Batman was not great, right? Like, everybody was like, everybody's like, Batman, you wild, boy. Like, everybody was saying that. And that was something I really liked. I was like, yo, finally in the movie, not us saying it, everybody, including at the end, Bruce, like Batman realized too that like, Batman, what are you doing? Why? You get what I'm saying? So all the things we've been complaining about, I think that's where I really felt great. I'm like, we are missing the point of what the Batman comics are in these movies because one, they touch on the corruption on the GCPD, but they don't really dive into it on the level that I felt like they did on this movie. Mm-hmm. And two, Batman is not making mistakes. He's perfect. That's why they think he can fight like Thanos and shit like that. These movies just show him like doing great. And this Batman, they were showing like he was a little sick. Everybody, all his mans, even Alfred was like, my boy, you wilding out a little bit. You know what I mean? And his relationship with Zoe really reflected what his privilege was like. That was the first thing. She was like, I don't even gotta look to know you rich because the way you talking and the way you moving. And I feel like no one really said that to not Bruce, but Batman. Like, I already could tell by the way you moving, you don't really care. Like, there's something else deeper. And I feel like that's something I haven't heard said out loud in a movie, besides from like, of course, the Joker, which I thought was great.
No, and I agree with you there. Like, that is a take that I will agree with. I did like that Batman was sloppy. I did like that people were calling him out for his sloppiness. I did feel like some of the sloppiness was ridiculous though, and also where it was like mad people died. Like that's something I can't get past in these Batman films. Is like and they make a point in all of them where he's like, "Oh, I don't use guns," but then he just kills people with his car in pretty much every one of these movies. And that car chase scene, when I thought back on it, I was like, mad innocent people, right?
Wow.
There was nobody but Penguin involved in that car chase scene. Am I right? It was like Penguin.
It was just Penguin and him, yeah.
But mad cars explode.
Exactly. Well, he was rolling through them. He was rolling right through them. But
he made it a stunt as he was killing people.
His eyes, he was enjoying it too. Like as much as like Penguin was enjoying the thrill, he was like, "Yeah, I got you."
Yeah.
So like this Batman, there are a lot of mistakes. There are a lot of deaths, and I think that's something he got to grapple with towards the end of the movie, because he's just moving real filthy. He moving stupid, and you're right. Like
he moves stupid even at the end of the movie, though.
That's where I started to get a little lost. Was like, we can talk about that.
We'll get back to the ending. We'll get back to the ending. Let's save that for the end of the, all right.
Because I already know what you're gonna say.
It was their whole relationship I got questions about, but we're gonna get to that too. Oh my God. So some of the big themes of the film, are vengeance and like we were talking about being a symbol of hope versus fear. Like whether or not, you should be the symbol of hope or whether or not you should be the symbol of fear where everybody's like, oh God, it's Batman, I thought those themes were carried through pretty well. I can't, not say they weren't. I felt.
Who was the symbol of hope for you?
Oh, never.
Okay. Copy. I was like, I don't see the hope that they talking about, but I did see the fear everywhere. Like
the thing is, I wasn't scared by any of it. I have to say this now, like Riddler in particular, I found laughable. Like, I mean, from the moment he stepped on screen to the moment he was off screen, I was dying laughing at him and not in like, along with him or anything. I just thought he was laughable. Thought his plan,
You thought his plan?
I thought everything he was doing was laughable.
His plan worked.
Did it?
Yes.
What was his plan? All right, I mean,
it was like to flood Gotham, right? He did it. That was
his plan. His plan was to take out corruption in Gotham.
How many people he clapped?
Like
he clapped
mad people who were not corrupt. Like
they were corrupt, right?
No. What about all the people who drowned? What about all the people who were getting clapped in the end?
No, not those. I'm talking about the top.
What about the new young mayor who got clapped for no reason?
No, she was alive.
Just got here. I know that, but she wasn't supposed to be.
She was wilding. A black man told her to chill. He said, "Look, I don't know what you thinking, but mama, we gotta stay back here." And she said, "Yo,
well,
Jim,
see, I mean,
that was on her. When she got shot, I literally screamed out, 'Good for you.' Because you're wilding." For what reason? She didn't even put a vest on. I would have been for it if she was like, "Yeah, let me strap up and I'm gonna be with the people," right? She walked out there raw and went in the middle of a stage with cameras on her in the middle of a terrorist attack. Like what?
Yeah, she definitely wanted to get clapped.
So she could show she gangsta. I was like,
that ain't gangster. All right, so we do agree that the vengeance theme was carried out pretty well. Obviously, I mean, people got their vengeance. There was not much symbol of hope, I can say. I would say Catwoman, but that would be actually acting like she did anything.
Batman ever reflects hope? I've never saw him as a symbol of hope. I've always that's Superman. I've always saw him as like a symbol of justice.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was odd when I kept on hearing that theme of hope, and I was like, in a Batman film or what? Ain't nothing hopeful in Gotham. Like Gotham is wild. It's the jungle.
But that seems so wild to me to make it where it's like Gotham is just this. Who would ever live there?
I mean, you in New York too. We live in a rat infested.
Yeah, but it ain't Gotham.
Yo,
I mean, our mayor is wild. He's
It's
a
getting
Batman
real
villain.
close. It's
That man
getting
is
real
that man
close.
is definitely a Batman villain
It's
waiting to
getting
happen.
real close.
He
And
is
I
one
mean,
toxic vat away from being a Batman villain.
and that's the thing about like Batman, right? Like Gotham is awful. People don't leave, but the whole point is they have no choice, right? And that's what Catwoman is supposed to reflect. Like, I don't got no jet. I don't know why Bruce stayed. And then the rich people stay because they are so rich off of this corruption. So it's like the poor people can't leave. And then the rich people stay because they make it so much cheese.
But New York is popping. You know, Gotham ain't popping. That's the difference.
No, in the Batman and Robin, the underworld scene of Gotham was lit. George Clooney, the Fits. They had some racing going on. They had the clubs.
I mean, Penguin's Club was popping, dog. That joint was huge.
And they had a premier drug. That seemed exclusive to Gotham that a lot of them were addicted to. Drop. Which a lot of people were saying is Venom.
Well, I was wondering, was Batman shooting up Venom at the end of the movie? But that's my thing.
Because it was green. It wasn't.
It was green. It was bright green neon, which in the Batman universe to me is Venom.
And they kept on hinting towards it, right? They kept on calling it drip. Where like Catwoman was like, "Oh, these drip heads." Like she kept on talking. They kept on talking about the drugs, and I'm like, obviously, this it's a Chekhov's gun. Like there's something about these drugs that we're gonna see. So when he shot himself up, I was like, oh, that's clearly the drug that they're talking about. And then when I saw the color, I was like, well, then maybe this is Venom. And that's what people are doing. They're taking, low doses of it or whatever. And that's why they're getting like strung out and so addicted to it.
But that was like, and I mean, that's something we need to talk about is the script. And like, I felt like this movie, that was one of my big issues with it. Like the themes were definitely explored. And I feel like kind of to the exclusion of everything else at times. And then it was like the tone felt like it was all over the place. Like going in, I kept hearing, gritty, realistic, dark, all. And I don't know if that was the hype machine or like the Twitter people, because all of them were just like, oh, this could be, I can't wait looking at him punching the criminals. And I'm just like, oh my God, none of that excites me at all. But I still want to see this film. And then I go in and it's like, half of it is him, beating up thugs and being this, dark, like you say, scary force. Riddler is murdering people left and right in horribly gruesome ways. And then Batman halfway through the movie takes a bomb to the face and wakes up like nothing. And then 5 minutes later flies into a bridge. And everyone in my theater laughed, because it was hilarious. But it's like he would have been paced in both instances. And I just didn't understand this movie. And then And then, like, at the end, he shoots up Venom, and no one seems to care. It's like, that's what I mean. This movie felt like, I was speaking about it with someone who I can't even name right now, and they were like, they felt like it was a pastiche of a lot of different scripts, because at one point, this was supposed to be the Ben Affleck film, and Matt Reeves was supposed to direct the Ben Affleck version. So that would have been something more in the Snyderverse. So that would have been somebody who could have flown into a bridge. But man's flying into the bridge and taking bombs to the face and just walking away I was like, what movie am I watching now?
It was really the bomb that got me. I was like, his face not even red. Like,
dead.
I mean, I guess they're trying to say his suit was fire. His suit was that good. And that was something that I liked, not the bomb, but the other point of it is that like, this is a new Batman. He clearly didn't train under the League of Shadows yet.
Yep.
And so there's no tact to his fighting. He's relying on his suit being fire. So he's just taking bullets to the chest. He walking in straight. And I'm like, yo, Batman, my man. Like try to dodge.
That's not gonna work out, fam.
And that's why he got laid out, right? At the end, because somebody hit him with the blig. Like,
but see, that's my question. What has this man been doing since a child then? Because
Alfred was training him.
Alfred said. Well, Alfred is terrible.
I mean, I don't know what, and that's what and maybe that's why they have such a.
This man is not fit to be Batman. That's another question about it.
That was the one thing I really didn't like.
Was Alfred and him?
So it was like twofold. It was like bitter. I don't know, double-edged sword for me. I like that this version. He was Batman. He didn't want to be Bruce Wayne. He didn't see any benefits in being Bruce Wayne. But, he's like, I'm helping people as Batman. And Alfred was like, yo, maybe if you just went to one thing and like gave some money, and also we need the cheese for you to continue to be Batman.
Mhm.
Like he's trying to tell him and he's saying no. But I could understand as like his first 2 years as Batman, like he has been dedicating his life to become this. And then he finally does it, and he's like, "You try and get me in a board meeting? Like, kick
Mhm.
rocks." But on the other end, I didn't understand the whole "you not my dad" like type of movement he was doing with Alfred. I'm like, my man, Alfred, I clearly is the only one who taught you how to fight, because ain't no way Raj let you out the house like that, moving like that. Ain't no way Raj Al Ghul was gonna let you move like
But that's
that.
what I'm saying. There's no ever a version of Batman been where he doesn't travel the world at some point during his youth and train. You can't tell me this man has been holed up
But he had
doing
hands,
nothing.
right? He had hands. He just wasn't.
He got served
He
by a
got shadowed
hobo with a
him.
shotgun at the end. Like, straight
Yo,
up.
you don't know what that guy was doing. He was a
My
content
man was-
creator. Yo, that's me and you. That's me and you.
Yeah, we out there just
on the sticks. We like, all right, yo, gotta get my suit. She's sending out maker boxes. We all rolling up at the church.
How you blaming the blur girl for being a bomber
I don't know.
now?
She the first. So I just figured if it's gonna be what
I would say it was like universal, womp womp, but that that ended as badly as the Riddler's plot did. So.
Yo, how good do you think that guy felt? The nameless guy who shot him down. I'm talking about that forever. In jail, I'm like, yo, you got in my bat? I almost killed the bat. His bitch had to come and save him. Yo, I shot him straight in the chest. He was done.
Done. My man was over here injecting drugs to beat me up.
And that was after I almost killed him. Like, he almost killed him. And it's like dunking on LeBron, right? Even if LeBron win, I will always remember, like, yeah, LeBron beat me by 80, but I dunked on him. You know what I mean?
It's like you dunked on LeBron and then he ran back to the locker room and shot up and then came back to beat you. Yeah, that's how he had to do it to you. Like he couldn't even do it.
Rookie LeBron, though, right?
Yeah, no, but it don't matter as long as he shot some drugs real quick. That's what I'm talking about. Because look,
and I mean there are comic book runs where Batman gets addicted to Venom.
Yes.
So maybe that's what they're.
I don't think so. That's what I mean. I felt like the script had a lot of different versions going on in it, where it was like, he shoots up drugs and then punches the living life out of this man, and then turns to Catwoman and it's like, oh, I'm fine now. Everything's cool.
Let's make out.
Let's make out. All right, this is my one that I thought about and I cannot stop laughing at. Right, young Robin or whoever this little boy turns out to be is sitting down with a shot mayor trapped under damn near drowning, and they are kissing. So my man is looking up at them like, word, fam, like,
but it's Zoe Kravitz though. You know what I'm saying?
I said that in the theater when he was stalking her at the beginning. I was like, this man's super trifling. He out of line. But he's right, like
right. Cobby is what you said. You said, I mean,
I was like,
you like, yo,
this is disgusting, but thanks for doing it for me, Batman.
I will say this. I felt like they had no real chemistry. And I honestly, I'm not gonna front. I've never seen really Robert Pattinson ever truly have chemistry. Not with fucking Kyle in Harry Potter. Not with Bella.
Wait, Robert Pattinson was in Harry Potter?
Yes, he was. What's his name?
What?
Cedric Diggory. He was holding his wand like a blick too.
Is he from the first one?
He's in 4. He's in Cedric Diggory. He's in
I missed a couple of them later on, so yeah.
I might have missed that one. Harry Potter age.
The funny thing is I've read more of the books than I've seen of the movies. Like that's the wild thing. Yeah.
I've read the books multiple times, and I've only seen the movies once. So sometimes those details like bleed into each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Because
he must have been young as fuck in that. I gotta see that.
He's a teenager. Yeah,
I know.
It's like his first thing. But
he had chemistry with the Green Goblin with William Dafoe.
Did Lighthouse?
Oh yeah, he had wild chemistry with that man.
Is good. Yeah. I've never seen him do it with a woman. Maybe he gets nervous. And all the chemistry I felt was oozing out of Zoe and not her, not him. I was like, I got chemistry with her, like outside the screen.
Who doesn't? The charisma, that woman, it's because, like you said, I felt like they gave her nothing to do. That was one of another big problem with the film. It's like people were like, "Oh man, we're finally going to see the bat and the cat on screen," and I'm like, "No, you're not. This movie is 3 hours long."
She was ready to lay down people.
She did that. That's no problem. In service of him. What? All right. Once again, like, what are these people's plans? Riddler, I don't know what it was about. Catwoman was save my friend Annie and let me go make out with this man every now and again because, and I don't even think Annie was a friend in most versions of the script. In a better one, I think that's her lover, right? Like, they're obviously lovers. They live together. They're lovers.
But I thought they were roommates.
I don't think so, folks.
I said, this is the blackest script I ever seen. Talk about roommates.
Yeah.
In a 1-bedroom.
She over here talking to him like he a grandmother or some shit.
My little roommate.
My roommate, Granny. Yeah.
That's when I knew she wanted to holler though, low key. I was like, yeah, she called him the roommate. She's trying to get my nuts.
But there was nothing beyond that. Like, she's like, okay, let me find my friend. Her friend finally turns up dead. She's like, let me get money and get out of town, I guess. All right, fine. But it was just inserting their relationship into that made no sense to me because they made no sense. And that was my big problem. Don't insert some romantic because it is Batman and Catwoman. You have to do this. And I knew that going in, and that was like, that's my thing. People are always like, yo, Ben, you just be hating. You're the opposite man. I'm like, nah, I want to see it done better than what it is. And I think she was fantastic. But I do not think they had any chemistry, like you said. And I don't think the thing gave them enough to do where they would have chemistry. I thought it was weird that they were kissing the first time. And then by the end, when they kiss while people are drowning and dying beneath them, I'm like, yo, Batman and Superman got more in common than they think, right? They love kissing when people are dying. Like, that is just a thing. Inappropriate.
Black Gay Comic Geek, shout out to my boy Mike, always says it. There's a straight agenda. And I feel like
super. I've been said that. Yeah.
To really show that like someone is a superhero, how can we look up to someone unless he gets buns somewhere in that movie? How can I know unless I know he's a meat eating, woman kissing man? But I agree that like I think there were pieces about her that was great, right? I loved her backstory with Falcone and her connection there.
Yep.
I love that she was poor and that like she was.
How is she poor though? That was another question. She is waitressing. She is, table girling at one of the top clubs in the city.
Come on, bro.
Come on, fam.
Come on, those
fam.
girls
That's
don't
200-300. What? No, yes, they do. I'm a DJ. They made more than me every night.
But then you go to their crib and where their bed at on the floor, right? Like the money goes.
I've seen it
to their hair, into the wigs,
true.
The nails.
I've seen it.
They invested in what, a Roth? Like, come on, relax. She's not from money. Her mom was in the streets. And so it was the same. And I like that about her.
Yep.
I like that she was willing, that her reason for stealing was more on the end of every time we saw her like stealing was for a reason. You get what I'm saying? Like, I need to steal her passport back or whatever. And I like that version of her. And I liked, honestly, female characters are never really given much in these movies.
No.
I was just arguing with someone because they're like, yeah, I still think Eartha's better. I was like, did you even see that? Like, to really
Eartha Kitt?
Everybody always says it, and it's so they could sound edgy and new, right? Like, I saw the Adam West, and that's the best iteration. I was like, are not telling me you loved watching these hoes in their pajamas purring and being ridiculous. It was a ridiculous show, and that's fine. It was nice.
It was great. It was great for what it was.
And right. And I'm glad, I'm happy that Adam West allowed a Black woman to be on set, because that obviously was something. I'm glad that, Eartha did it. She definitely was big.
She looked good in that suit.
She looked great in the suit. But if you've seen Boomerang, you've seen this. You've seen Eartha as Catwoman. It's the same thing. You're not telling me that's better than Michelle Pfeiffer. And I don't want to say that this white woman is better than Eartha Kitt.
Do you want to say she's better than Zoe?
Michelle?
Yeah.
I don't.
That's a tough one. I mean, my attraction to Zoe is higher. So, and I like Zoe, but
And
Michelle was
got even-
iconic.
She's
you know?
iconic, and it got a little ridiculous with Michelle's, right? Like,
Yes, but those movies are a little ridiculous in the first place.
Right.
That is, that's something that people forget. Those movies are, their tone is, I think that's just the thing about Batman movies, right? Tone is always all over the place.
because you want it to be gritty, and then you have some cat doing, you have someone dressed like a clown fighting you, and that's your biggest
That's
foe.
what, that's what I was saying. They need to just lean into that. Like, I feel like this idea where they're like, we're gonna make it darker and darker is so weird to me when it's like this dude is fighting clowns, steroid abusers, dudes obsessed with riddles, just like his.
I think that's also why Suicide Squad and Peacemaker
Yes.
is so well received, because they do that, right? There are serious themes, but it's jokes the whole time. And I think
because it's ridiculous.
Exactly. And I didn't think that I would like a really truly campy Batman until I realized how much I liked Peacemaker's version of Adrian Chase.
Yes.
And I was
my God.
Adrian Chase is just as dark, just as as scary as Batman. And
way worse.
Way worse. And I'm
he's
like,
super scary.
Okay, but they had him as a joke, right?
Yes.
Because he's ridiculous. And they did the same thing. I love Birds of Prey, even though a lot of people didn't like it. But they did that same type of like ridiculousness where like Huntress was weird and awkward and stuff. Because like someone who dedicates their life to vengeance is not going to be someone you can hold a conversation with.
No. And my favorite out of DC right now, even though it's still animated, is the Harley Quinn show. And that's the brilliance of Harley Quinn to me, is how it can be the most violent, gory show, and in the next minute it's the funniest show, and in the next minute it's the most heartfelt show. And that is like brilliance. And that's I don't want to say that's just because of animation, because I still feel like that's the other problem with these Batman films, is we still haven't gotten like a Justice League Unlimited version of Batman on screen. I felt like Snyder was closest. I mean, not Snyder, but Affleck as Batman was closest to that, where he was like interacting with the, Justice League, obviously. And I liked his version. And when he was in the Batsuit, I like how he can move and all that, because like I said, with this movie, once again, like you said, he just walking through, he's like, and I'm like, I'm so tired of seeing that Batman who's doing the fighting, one person at a time,
that is one of my favorites. And every time I say that, people lose it. And I don't know if it's that if they didn't like Batman v Superman and that's why they hated it. But I'm like, he was the best part of that movie.
Yes.
The way he moved, like he was like crawling on the ceilings and stuff like that.
Sick. Yeah, that was so sick.
And you're right. He had that like, don't play with me, I'm a billionaire type attitude.
Yes.
The Justice League, and you're right. That's my favorite thing about Justice League Unlimited. Every time they try it, he like, not me. Y'all could, your brokies could do it, but not me. I'm here to help. I'm here to give assistance, but that's on y'all. God bless in your endeavors. But like, that don't got nothing to do with me. And I think, I don't know. I think also because people are so, I don't know why they're so dead set on doing origin Batman. Like we know the origin of Batman. Let me see, old Batman, Dark Knight Rise, like old Batman that's like tired and like already he's gone through 3 Robins and all that stuff.
See, I want to see like good, just in the moment Batman. Let me see that Batman,
that's middle-aged Batman.
Yeah, right? I want to see middle-aged Batman who's like confident, who's whooping ass. I don't want to see him take on Thanos, but if he's with the Justice League, I want him to be able to hang with them. I want him to see not always grim, I'm sad, I'm emo. That's why I like even, Batfleck and Bale, because as they at least put on the show when they're Bruce. And this Batman is like, nope, I'm just going to be, my man walked in and he had his bruised up eye. I'm like, fam, you just don't care.
I really like that thought of it. Like, if this is my first, I'm not trying to go to no gala. You know what I mean? Like,
so you just walked in like you rocked?
Like that. Yeah, I'm Bruce Wayne. Rich people don't care. And honestly, rich people are always bruised up, Sri Lankan, hiking, doing dangerous shit because they don't have no real danger in their life. So like, I don't think that was a wild thing. Like, I used to work at a gym, like a higher end gym. I was a trainer there, and like the people there, the guys there will always be beat up. They'd be like, yeah, I was cliff diving and da, 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 I hit 8 rocks. And like, I never once thought, oh, are you Batman?
No, I mean, they made a point of that. Like in the other one, they were like, he was off playing polo or something. And that's why they said he got roughed up.
Right. But
Yep.
you're right. Because he played a Bruce, it gave him a solid alibi, right? Remember he went to China and he just brought 30 models on a boat?
Yep. Yeah, that's the Bruce I love, man. I can't lie. Like this emo Bruce was whatever. But all right, now I didn't really feel him. So how did you feel about Riddler? Perhaps he's Hush, Paul Dano?
Okay, so I thought Paul Dano was great. Everybody was saying Hush. I was like, leave Hush out of this. This is not Hush.
He's close.
Y'all do not know how bad Hush gets. I wasn't nearly as scared. I was not nearly as scared as Hush. Like I remember reading some Hush comic books when I was younger and like stopping midway and then not reading for years.
Wow.
Like he like took out Catwoman's heart or something. Spoiler alert.
Jesus, I remember that one.
Yeah. It was crazy.
I remember the Jim Lee intro one, and I remember it being like, "This is ridiculous." But I read it as a grown man, so I was like, "This is just over the top." But
I was 6.
I don't. Oh no, yeah, no, I don't know.
My dad's comics. I was not the age to read Hush, so I don't know.
And I don't think he did that in that initial run. That might be some other shit because I don't remember them taking out hearts. Yeah,
the one that's like right before Gotham City Sirens. That just.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that would have messed me up no matter when I read it. Yeah, no,
yeah. Hush, there are versions of Hush, at least the ones that I've read that are like not a joke, that are like he's a big problem, and I just didn't see that. I don't know element, but maybe that's just my own trauma that I'm projecting. But I like this version of Riddler. I like that. I think Jim Carrey's Riddler. People think that Riddler is like. Fun and just drop some riddle. And I'm like, he's as menacing as Joker and he's smarter than Bruce. And in a lot of iteration, he knows who Bruce is because he figured it out. He likes riddles, which they hinted out here. I'm not sure if he was saying he knew or not.
Yeah, it was kind of ambiguous. I was very confused by that part.
I've been hearing both, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I interpret it as he was just talking about Bruce Wayne. But a lot of people were like, he saw the cameras and saw how Bruce was like reacting, and he was like, "I'm gonna let you rock," which sounds very Riddler-like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, typically the Riddler gets caught because he wants to get caught. He leaves riddles, and a lot of times Batman can't figure it out. And I like that they reflected that version. I love that he was a content creator. 500 on the stream. That's fire. What that Patreon looking like is what I was wondering.
He was popping, right? My man popping in that hot ass mask.
Yo, he was getting cheese. He had to be getting, because I was like, he is funding stuff. Also, I was thinking about how quickly he had to quickly throw cinnamon on top of that latte before he got apprehended. I was like, he had that thing. It was like quickly like rolling that on.
Let me get this motherfucking question mark in here
before they come in here. But no, I thought he was cool. That scene when the cars start blowing up and he's in the window and he's like boom, he's like mouthing boom. I liked it. I thought it was cute. I was like, oh yeah,
I just could not take him seriously throughout the whole movie. I'm sorry. I like Paul Dano. I've seen him in other things where I think he's a great actor, but
what else is he in? I don't know.
I can't remember exactly, but I know I've seen his face. But when he was like ranting, like when he was doing his Joker videos, that was another thing. Like I've seen this shit before a lot of times. Like the red beats from Nolan, like him sending videos of himself to the press, and those like when Joker did it, I mean Heath Ledger frightens me. To this day, when I watch that movie, I'm still like, yo, this dude is, it's out there. This, I was just like, oh my God, stop it, Five. Like just stop it, dog. Like you are. Someone beat this clown up, and get him out of my face.
How did you feel about the interrogation scene? I felt like I really liked it. I felt like that was the first time somebody was like, "You wild violent. I'm trying to be like you." And that was the first time I felt like Bruce had ever heard it. And it was the first time it was like, like he was like, "Yo, I'm doing what you're doing on a bigger scale. I'm trying to continue your work."
Nolan said it already, I'm not the one wearing hockey pads. Like, I've seen this before. Like, You know, and like that's and then okay, and here's the other side of it, right? Because here, like when they roll up to the courthouse, I think it was, right, and there's all the Riddler supporters. I'm like, hold on, Batman has been operating for 2 years. This man has been. I mean, I get it. This man's social media game is much better than Batman's, obviously, and he needs to step it up. But Batman got no love. He has nobody dressing in hockey pads.
People don't really know that he exists.
So Riddler's social media game is just better, and I will give him that. So yes,
It's
yeah.
the Hawkeye, his branding off.
Yeah, his branding is way off, and
I call Kate Bishop.
Yeah, I admit that because his branding is nothing. But he managed to brand that vengeance throughout the criminal community somehow. So that is, you know, there's something to be said for his word of mouth.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was a myth, right? It was.
But the phrase "I'm vengeance" kept, you know, that got out. You know?
Yeah, because it's like your boy saying, like, "Yo, somebody washed this up." Screaming, "I'm vengeance!" And they was like, they was like, "Yo, I promise you, he was 6 foot, he looked like a bat," and they're like, yeah, he got hit too hard in the head.
Edward Nidma, please.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what was going on for a while.
Bob Riddler's just out there, like, yo, follow me on all socials.
Yeah, he was like, hey, hit that like and subscribe
button.
I got a special Patreon episode coming out this week. You trying to see what I'm gonna do to the bat? You know what I mean?
He's got that voice. The Batman beat me up today, and
right, facts. I always pictured him sounding like Blur Without Fear. If y'all don't listen to him, my boy Ernie is the Riddler, yo.
Oh God.
But they show that too, right? Batman goes to the club and they don't let him in twice, and then when he goes as Bruce Wayne, they let him in.
Yes, they're hyped to see his ass.
Right. So that's the thing. Like we're going through him as he's getting that process of, I actually have leverage here as Bruce Wayne, and there is work I could do as Bruce Wayne. Like everything can't be done by Batman, and he hasn't quite figured that out yet. And I like that he hasn't figured out, like you said, like he's clumsy. Like even when he's dipping from the thing, and he's like, you know, because he ain't never jumped from no building, right? He ain't never used that.
Did his car like not start? Because there was like this big, like rum, and then it was like,
yeah, because he probably hit the throttle onto, but so that whole setup, right? So he's on top of the thing, people are chasing him, he's like, I ain't never jump off this high, but I gotta go. And then he gets wiped out. And I'm like, of course, because he's never glided before. And then like he's like, ooh, I finally get to use this Batmobile. He throws on all the throttles, and of course the car is gonna stall out immediately. And that's stuff that I like. I'm like, how is he, even if you take all the classes, all the tests to figure out this car, all your equipment, until you actually use it in the field, you don't know how to use it. You know what I mean? Like, I box, and I think I'm nice until like one time I told my trainer, like, yo, like, go ahead and like fight me, like we in the ring. And I got washed up. No. I know all the combos and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I could washed up. Cause it's like now it's not like what you've learned and what you trained and all these situations. Now you have to go from someone else's instinct and you have to react to that. And like, all these other variables that you're not prepared for, you can't prepare for. And yeah, I really like that aspect.
All right. I mean, like I said, I guess that's cool. I wasn't expecting that. Like I laughed at that when he couldn't start the car, and I laughed when he hit the bridge, but I was also like, you should be dead, you know? And I was like, and I don't think, I think it was intentional for people to laugh when, you know, he hit the bridge, because pretty much everybody in my theater did.
Yeah, for sure. Right? It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Speaking of like comedy, Lieutenant Gordon and Jeffrey Wright, when my man screamed out, "Open your eyes!" my whole theater lost it one. And I mean, he was great. Like, first of all, Jeffrey Wright has never not been great. I've never ever seen him in a role where he didn't absolutely destroy it. And he does it again. And I like their relationship a lot. You know, I really like Lieutenant Gordon and Batman's relationship in this film. So
this is the most I've seen Gordon do.
Yes.
Right? Every time, even I love Gary Oldman. He looks exactly like the comic books.
Oh my God,
like,
he was great. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great, but like he was, by then I'm looking at stressed Commissioner Gordon,
yeah.
who's a recovering alcoholic. This Gordon was in the streets. He had his hands out. People were shooting. He was like, "Yeah, I got the blick." Like he was actually hands to the ground. The one piece, which I feel like is something they always do with Jeffrey Wright. He is an uppity nigga. Can I say that word? He an uppity hoe. So. Yeah. We gonna find out if I get beat to post. But he an uppity hoe. And even back when I've seen him in Shaft, I don't know if y'all remember.
Oh my God! How can you not?
Yeah,
iconic.
Yeah, but like recently, I saw him in something where he was playing a gangster. Like,
oh God,
a year or so ago, and he was like, I forgot. I was in California. I was like, stop. They just think Black people all look like thugs. Because Jeffrey Wright for sure looks like he sips tea and listens to Bach and Mallard. You get what I'm saying? So when we put him in gritty situations, he's like Don Chu. How hard is he gonna look? You get what I'm saying? You can't just give him a patchy beard and a hoodie and think that he's gonna be hard. Like, and I think that's something that's really hard to translate on this uppity guy, Idris Elba's the only one I think who's ever achieved that in The Wire.
But he does come off looking beat in this movie. I will give him that. He might be uppity, but he looked tired, so
tired. Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Jim is hood. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For the streets.
Jim be cheating on his wife, all kind of shit, having like mad, babies outside the marriage. Jim be going through it, boy. Jim go through it.
Listen,
Jim Gordon, man. That man.
That's one critique I have of all Batman movies is that Jim is such a major player in the Batman, in all the important arcs, even some of the most famous ones, right? Like The Killing Joke, where it's like,
oh man,
he is such a center.
Year one, he's center in year one.
That's what I'm saying, and like they always do him as like a assistant to Batman. There's so much there, and that's why Batman trusts him with the bat symbol and things like that. And I'm like, I've never actually seen that reflected in media, like live media, because of course the animated universe is fire, but everywhere else, I'm like, I don't see the Jim Gordon reflected the way that he should be.
I thought this was the closest they've come to it, definitely. Like, yeah. And with more films and more time. And other people pointed it out and I'm really hyped for the Penguin show, and we're about to talk about my man Colin, because I think Batman, especially his live action, might be one of the superheroes who would work best as a series and not as films, because you need time to explore all these relationships. Like, despite the idea that Batman is this loner, he is really the most family-oriented character probably DC has. He has so much family. They might not be blood, but he has so much family, and you need time. And then his rogues gallery is like his extended family. So you need time to explore those relationships. But it's just hard to, hire Robert Pattinson and these other actors for,
5 movies.
10 episode series, which is 5 movies,
Yeah. That's tough. What did you think about them giving backstory on the Wayne family?
Whoa, there was choices made. Yeah, that's why one of my AKAs was everybody hates Martha, because they found yet another way to disrespect Martha Wayne in this film. The fact that they decided to make her, mentally ill was, I questioned it.
Instead of a cane.
I mean,
she could still be a cane, right?
Yeah, I don't care. Just why mentally ill?
Why not? Why not give him a tie to Arkham?
Why? Like, for what? His parents get killed in the street. It's already dark enough, fam. I don't need his mom's, who's dead and can't even defend herself, being accused of being mentally ill. Jesus, this movie did not like women. That's another, but most movies don't. But
I was like, goddamn,
I know I'm so used to it as well. But I can't, especially when it's egregious. And it's like, that was, coupled with the Catwoman, just no story, it was egregious. So I was just like, nah, fam. No, I started tuning out as soon as they started about Arkham and shit. And then I was like, wait, what did they just say? You got, smoking crack.
I didn't mind Martha getting a little, like a bigger tie. One, because I don't know if his parents were killed in the street in this one. They were talking about it was a
Yeah.
hit.
I think it was still in the street though. They still mentioned in the street because that's what Alfred said. I don't know if it was still a random ass mugging or not.
Oh,
So it was still
right.
in the
But it was a
street.
hit this time, like
Yeah.
something that wasn't random, which
But he doesn't know. But that's been done in the comic. It was still ambiguous. A lot of ambiguity. You know, like there was so much ambiguity in this film.
ambiguity. Yeah.
Ambiguity. There we go.
Yeah. And I think it's because they're trying to focus on Arkham, which I mean, there are Arkham comics. You guys, I think if you're gonna do an Arkham series to do all of these ties without having Batman, I think is great. I love though, not on Martha, but on Thomas end that like you can't be that rich without having your hand
Oh yeah.
in something dirty.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that sometimes they make it seem like the Waynes were perfect. And I'm like, there's no way you're living in Gotham, thriving in Gotham, and you're not friends with Falcone. You're not friend, or you don't at least know them, you know? And I really like that they finally talked a little bit more about the Waynes instead of showing a picture with pearls draped over it. So I was glad to see that, but you're right. There's a lot of ambiguity. They don't like women, but when do they ever? At this point, I'm just like, it's like, oh, they don't like blacks. Oh, what's new? Like,
I know, but you ain't got it. Yeah. There's this famous damn, I don't even like to talk about Planetary anymore, but there's a famous Planetary comic book where this character shows up he fates his death and shows up at his funeral, and he's like a Superman character, and he's like, I already had a perfect origin story, you know, I came from a dying planet, etc., etc. I don't need to be, and he just lists the way that they've changed him, you know, like this dark, twisted brother, son, and it's like, that's how I felt watching this movie, where it's just like, look, his parents already died when he was young. This man can't somehow afford therapy. You know, it's dark enough. Like, I just did not need that added addition. No, and I don't need any connection to Arkham. I don't mind Thomas being dark. And through that, having a connection to Arkham, fine. But the idea, like, this insanity in the and that's the other thing. I don't like the idea of Batman being insane. You know, I get it. He needs therapy. But that makes pretty much every superhero insane.
I mean, there's definitely at least borderline personality disorder going on with Batman, right? Like, there's something that has to be mentally different with him because Batman's not like, you know, the Flash who's tapped into the Speed Force. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like someone. He is a man who has gone to great lengths and dedicated an obscene amount of time to beat up local criminals without joining. You get what I'm saying? Like, there needs to be a little sickness there.
Yes.
He's not Superman who found out that, you know, his planet was killed and like he was raised.
But his parents were killed. That's what set him on this path. Like, his parents get killed and he's like, nah, B, I'm not. And like, we talked about this on the show before where it's like, he's like, that will never happen again. You know, nothing will ever happen again.
It like that. Like, he could join. That's the thing. That same rhetoric, right, could be done as Bruce Wayne. He can be like, I'm going to run for mayor and put on these straight laws. For him to go the route of, I'm going to learn every type of martial art and pour millions of dollars into equipment and then spend all of my waking hours beating local criminals. Something has to be off there mentally, right? It's not. The Flash does his work and it's praised for it. There's some endorphins, some serotonin that comes with it. But the Flash, who's someone? Wonder Woman is a goddess. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Lantern, the corpse rolled up on him was like, you got a duty to this work.
But I just don't want to put it where it's like where people, because it turns into this, like, that's where the darkness comes from, where it's like, no, this is something that's wrong with, like, I like the idea of Batman, like, even though it's not often expressed like this, where it's like, he's turning this tragedy and attempting to do better. He lives in a world where being the mayor ain't working out, as we see in this film. You know, like, the corruption is just too deep. So now he's trying to be this symbol of hope for the city to make people change themselves because the politicians are too corrupt.
Right.
and then maybe he can inspire this new mayor, to be better herself, But I like that idea rather than this idea of like, I'm dark vengeance, and it's just like, come on, fam. Like, all right, we get it. And then to put it on his mom's where it's like something that comes through the family. Oh, and then that's always that thing where it's like, back to the Killing Joke where everyone wants to be like, oh, they're flip sides of the same coin, Batman and the Joker. And I'm like, that is the most reductive statement. That's like saying, that's worse than Professor X and Magneto or Malcolm and Martin. Like,
you hate that argument?
Yeah, I do. It's super reductive. It doesn't equate to what those men did, in real life. One, and it doesn't really equate to their real relation, like to Martin and Malcolm's relationship, or to Magneto and Charles' relationship.
Didn't Charles just create a utopia for mutants?
Is that what Martin Luther King would have done? I seriously doubt it. See what I mean?
You're right.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work immediately. It doesn't work immediately. Immediately it falls apart. It's so like simple-minded to me. And it's like, no, and that Joker thing comes from the Killing Joke. And I hate that's all people took from that comic.
The Killing Joke is my least favorite comic book. And I read it, of course, because everybody was losing their mind over it. And I remember reading it and I was like, yeah, sickos. Like, why do y'all like this comic book? Because this maniac raped a woman on the side of like for some men. And then and it changed the course of Batwoman's character for the rest of her run. Like every time we saw her, she was Oracle. She didn't have hands no more. She was in a wheelchair. And we never unpack that truly, right? It's all about how did this make Jim feel? How did this make that? And I was like, yeah, is this how y'all see the world? Honestly, truly, when
this goes back to
became this big thing. And I remember when the cartoon came out and they put that random sex scene in it.
Yeah, it made it even worse. But that's what I'm saying. This goes back to how this film sees Martha. And that's what I mean. That type of thought process just I know I can't cut for it. All right, we would be here all night, so we got to get through this. We definitely, I want to mention, Penguin and Colin, because I think Colin is one of the most hilarious people out there, through his like antics in life. And I just could not believe how out of control he did, the Penguin. I can't wait for this Penguin series. I will watch him do this over and over again. Yeah.
He was funny. I love that they had a Gotham accent. Like it was clear.
It's like something weird. Yeah.
It was a New York inspired accent, but I was like, this is for sure not New York. It felt like on purpose.
It was like New York by way of Dave Chappelle.
It was Wakanda.
It was like New York by way of like, when hey, see, yeah.
I'm walking here. I was like, who talks like that? Please.
You motherfuckers!
And I guess that plays into your like ridiculous elements there. I'm like,
I couldn't understand why they didn't know it was a bat. All right, that in the mystery of the Riddler, like I was sitting there from the moment he says it, like I was like, I don't speak Spanish like that, but I'm like, it's a bat with wings, a rat with wings.
I was like, it's a bat. Not hard.
And like they're sitting there talking about stool pigeons and shit. And that's funny because I was listening to the soundtrack today, and one of the tracks on the soundtrack is World's Worst Translator. Yeah, I thought Colin was great. I thought Andy Serkis was great as Alfred. I did not understand him and Bruce's relationship and the antagonism that Bruce showed to him.
I didn't understand that. And why cast Andy Serkis if he's not going to throw hands?
And if he ain't even going to be there for but like 5 seconds.
I did not understand why he opened up that box.
Why he opened up the bomb, right? My man just like an idiot. I was
like, this is not regular Butler Alfred. This is a Black Ops.
And not only that, this is Alfred who works with the Batman. Like, if somebody sends a letter to the Batman after people have been getting blown up by letters to the Batman, you would think that maybe I shouldn't just open this.
It was weird. It was weird to me.
It was silly. And it was silly that he survived. That's the other thing. Like, once again, like, people take bombs to the face in these movies with no problem. Like
maybe the people of Gotham have a different bone structure.
I guess so.
From the amount of violence.
The water in the in Gotham. I don't know.
Gotham were dirty. It's just thinking them up. It's more than fluoride. I did have a question that I don't understand. I did think that Colin Farrell did great. I don't understand why cast Colin Farrell to be this like obese man when they could just cast an obese man. Like there was a guy who I know there are actors who look similar to what the Penguin looked like. Or to at least Colin's version. And I was like, why put his body through that? Why go through 4 hours of makeup? Huh?
Ego.
Copy.
I mean,
the casting director before Ego was like, yeah, let's get Colin Farrell on the line. They're like, whoa.
No, Colin probably came in like, look, Matt, look, I've got this idea.
Know what it is.
Yeah. Look,
you know what you got to do when
I'll put on the suit, and then they were like, all right, fuck it, it's Colin, like, let's do it.
Yeah, I've always been a kind of fan, but it's Widows. He's in Widows.
Yes. Oh, yes.
There's a scene where he's coming from the slums to.
Oh, one of the greatest scenes ever. Everyone loves it. It's it's one of the best scenes ever done.
I was like, yo, Colin, I'm lying. I loved him as Bullseye.
Wow, that's the first time I've ever heard that.
It was terrible. It was. I mean, it was ridiculous, and I mean, I don't want to talk about Daredevil, but yeah, yes, I thought Colin was great. I love that they set him up. I thought there would be too many villains in here. They set it up in a way that like Gotham had, which is true. There are always a bunch of villains right around Gotham.
Yep.
And it's like, who's he focusing on? Who's the most pressing villain? And I'm glad they did that.
Yeah.
Even when they were getting information out of him, I was like, yo, this is jokes. This guy's good.
Oh, no, he was great. He was just great throughout the whole thing. But that did, like I said, that also kind of felt to me why Catwoman just gets shortchanged, but it's not like he didn't need to have the story that I felt she needed to have. Having, you can't, if she hadn't kissed him, I probably would have been completely fine with it. But once she kissed him, I was like, oh no, this makes no more sense.
I think if she kissed him at the end before they parted, it would have been way better received.
Yeah, at the end, when everything's chilled out, when they're on the bikes, everything's cool, they're doing their Fast and Furious moment, but when it's people are drowning beneath you.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that scene, that scene when he cuts off that live wire so it doesn't touch the water was ridiculous for no reason. I was like, so it's not live anymore because he cut it.
Yeah.
I was like, can he not swim? As he's doing the slow motion fall, I was like, oh, can he not swim? What's the deal here? And he just fell into water, and I was like, he came right out. But I did like the scene right after when he started saving people like individually.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we never see Batman do that, yo. We always see him on some grand scheme saving Gotham, but like, I want to see him do some like philanthropic work, like something one-on-one, swimming, pulling people out of water.
When the girl grabs him as he's putting her in the helicopter, I love that. That was dope. That was really dope, because it was like, no, you just saved me, made sure I'm good, and that was dope. That got me. But the fact that he was just kissing Shorty while these people were drowning, what did not get me at all. It was like tone.
Yo, low key, that was rape. He was in and out of consciousness, and she kissed him.
Yeah, I mean, my man just been shot. He on drugs.
Said, oh, baby. No, he didn't shoot up yet. So he got shot. He's laying down after he got shot. She saves him.
And that's when she kisses him. And then
the guy pulls her off of him and starts falling on her. And then that's when he shoots up because he's like, I gotta save my bitch.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she kissed him in the middle of danger.
Yes.
She saved him from one man and was like, oh, okay.
No, she's like, it's all good. Remember, she was like, it's all good now. Like, you don't know how many people this man has out here. You don't know what's going on.
And she learned very quickly how many people were in that. She learned immediately. And also, I feel like that Catwoman would have had more street smarts.
Yeah, like fuck out of here.
Let's hit this up later. Come to my crib. I know you know where I live.
Right, you stalked me.
Yeah. You stalked me. Stalk her. He's watching her undress. I was like, what type of the ops is this?
Like I say, I think he's out of line, but
Thank
Thank you. All right. So overall, like I said, I thought it was cool. You definitely opened my eyes to some things, the struggle of Batman. I think that, that made it better for me. But yeah, I still feel the same way. I felt like I'd seen a lot of this before. I don't really need to see sequels. Speaking of sequels, I thought the inclusion of the Joker fake me out at the end was laughable as usual. Yes.
Dumb. Like he's
Stupid.
Thanos. Like we
Nigga.
can't do a movie without
Without Joker.
I do love that actor.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
But no.
No, that was I'd made a video. I was talking about like I'd love to see like Poison Ivy in there.
Oh.
And they're like, no, it's
Calendar
gonna be
Man.
Two-Face, Calendar. Well, they just did the Long Halloween, basically. That's what this movie was.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make sense. But the Court of Owls, like there's so many.
Yes.
There's so many, like his rogue gallery is so robust, just like Spider-Man, and they redo the same villains. And I'm like, yo, there are some great arcs out there. Even with like, I suggested like, yo, they should have Poison Ivy because they don't have a lot of women in this, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, well, they're keeping it realistic. How they're gonna do it when she controls
this shit ain't realistic.
Well, even if they did, I'm like, she's an eco-terrorist.
Yeah.
She's
not difficult to do.
It's not hard. The same way they did it with the Riddler, they could do it with her. If they're not really using metahumans, that's fine. There are ways to put that in there. But I don't know. Even Victor Freeze, like freezing people with liquid nitrogen, is something that's not above like something could do. I just feel like there are so many characters that could be focused on instead of Two-Face, Riddler, Joker. We get it. They're awful. They're great villains, but there are so many amazing villains. Even Harley Quinn. I'd love to see a sinister.
I'm good. Because that involves the Joker. Yeah, I'm good. I'm like,
there's a lot of Harley Quinn without the Joker.
I know, but it's she's part.
Yeah, she's part
of
the
Harley Quinn and show is good. We've had Margot Robbie. She's great. Yes. I'm good on ever seeing another Harley Quinn. Ever.
I think I just like her. I
love her, but I'm good. It's like you said, there's so many others. Just stop, please. Stop now. I saw somebody suggest Shorty from Jules from Euphoria. I don't care. I don't want to see it. She'd be great.
I just see that, but I was like,
I don't want to see it.
Even when I mentioned Poison Ivy, everybody's like, not without Harley Quinn. I said, if y'all think that Poison needs Harley, stop it.
No,
she's been out way before Harley. She's been doing way worse things. Way before Harley was even created, who was created in a TV show. She had comic books before Harley's show came out. Not to say that character is not iconic. I think Harley Quinn is iconic. I'm just saying, put my propers on Poison Ivy. But that's another thing about like female characters is like they put them in a bathing suit. Mm-hmm. And even when they do despicable things, amazing things, they're never truly respected as characters. Even heroes. I've said it like, yeah, I love some of the stuff we see with female heroes, but then it's always the same beats, the same thing.
Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh, yeah. That shit was funny though. I was laughing whole movie.
I laughed to keep from crying whole movie, but I would say the Batman is better than that. I can safely say that.
Facts. Don't do that. Yeah.
All right. I think that's about it for our review on the Batman. Like we said, sequels, side projects. I'm hyped for Penguin. I never want to see the Joker. I've heard Court of Owls for the sequel. I'll be there for it. I wasn't like disgusted with this movie. I'll be there for whatever else that comes out of it. I just wasn't like, it was like, oh, okay, that was 3 hours, but it wasn't like I was like, my life, it was more like, okay. That was cool.
That happened.
Yeah, that happened. That was my initial tweet. That was a movie, That's how I felt. It was like, it's a movie. Yeah, it's cool. Frankey, please let the internets know where they can find you at.
Yes, you can find me on most platforms at Fantastic Frankey, FRANKEY. Except for on the bird, you can find me on Twitter at Fanboy Fighter. I cover comics and anime, although lately I've been consumed by comics. I'm a big DC head, but I cover all the Marvel properties as well. And I like to highlight some Black indie comics as well, if you guys are looking for some to reap or get into.
All right. And very much other things. Make sure you check her out. Definitely on Instagram. Her videos are pure fire. Dropping all kind of knowledge and, entertainment as well for you. As always, you can find me at DJ Benhameen on Instagram and all other social medias, Twitter, all that good stuff. You can follow the at ForAllNerds on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere. Make sure you're subscribed and following on all other podcast platforms like SoundCloud, iTunes, etc. Also hit us up on YouTube. That's youtube.com/ForAllNerdsTV. And make sure you follow us on twitch.tv/ForAllNerds, where we do our live show every Thursday at 8 p.m. Every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live, and we will be coming back on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern very soon with our Moon Knight reviews.
Oh, we out. Yeah.
It's popping out here. So, that's about it. Once again, thank you for joining me, Frankie. This has been fantastic. Make sure y'all check the Batman in theaters now. Holler at us. Let us know what you feel in the comments. All that good stuff. And we out of here.
Fan Bros. FAN. We are OS.